Hi guys. So in the previous video we saw how to add authorization by using plugs and Guardian. So in this video, uh, we'll take a stab at the last thing in our to-do list, which is a sign-in user should be able to create comments. But uh, while doing that, let's actually do it in a different way. So what we'll do is we'll create a chat room for um, each blog post where users, if they're authenticated, can send messages, and those will be added as comments. Okay, so this is just to see how authentication works over sockets and channels. Okay, so uh, let's get started. Now the first thing we need is we need to show a chat room like interface when you go to uh, the 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 blog post details page, right? So this is the blog post show page, and we'll add a chat room on this page. So let's go there. Let me close all the buffers I have, and we'll go to the post show view the post show template, and I'll just make a few changes here. um, so this is actually a heading, so I'll make it a heading. um, Classes page header, some bootstrap stuff, and the body can be a body and a div, right? And that's it. So this is nice, right? We have a title and the body, and below that we need a messages pane, right, or the comments pane. So we need a comments pane, which is this, and we need a text area to allow users to enter a comment. So we'll add a text area, and we'll call this input, or yeah, input is fine. And we'll add a class called form input to make this look nicer, and that should be text area form input. Yeah. So for some reason this is okay. I'm not gonna worry about styling now. So let's say columns. So actually put this in a row. So this is a text area with a class form input. Weird. So it's fine, right? We'll add a few columns here. That's fine. So that's our text area, and we'll add a button here called the submit button, right? So button ID submit, and call it submit comment, right? So nice, nice, very nice. So now that we have this, what we need to do is we need to wire up the JavaScript part of this. So to do that, let's open up app.js, and we need to uncomment the socket file. We need to import the socket file, and we'll just write our code in the socket.js file. And so if you want to look at a detailed walkthrough of how this works, you can check out my other video on how to create a chat application. But in this application, we'll just run through this. So this is our socket, and what we'll do is we'll create one topic for one post. And so here uh, in the we'll just create a meta tag here, or we could just we could just use a script here. I mean, this is not clean code, you know, whatever. We'll just say window dot post id is post id is post id, right? And now in here we would have access to that post. So now the name of the room is going to be room and post id. Okay, room and window dot post id. So that's going to be the room to which this page is going to connect, and it also going to send the token of this user as the guardian token. So I'll say guardian token. This is the authentication token which we're sending. I'll say window dot guardian token. And so guardian, when you sign in, it sets up a guardian token in the session, and we can use that to authenticate the user in the user sockets. So here I'm just going to say guardian token is however we get the guardian token. Okay, so for now I'm not sure how it is stored, so let's just put a debug statement here. Say inspect connection, right? And if we look at this here, there should be a guardian token with the name JWT or guardian. Yeah, guardian. So this guy is not logged in, so he wouldn't have any token. But this guy, if we refresh, if we go to the posts one page here, this page should have a guardian token, and so here it is. It's named guardian default JWT, and how can we get a handle of this? So this is so you know what, let me just copy this and put it in an EX class. So I'll say new s test EX. So JWT, right? And so this is part of the guardian default resource. No, this is not part of the guardian default resource. So come on. So I think adapter assigns, is it part of the assigns? So I'm just trying to see where this is stored so that we can access it. So guardian default claims. So I'm not sure how we, so let's see, connection dot guardian default. I think no, that doesn't work. So all right, so we have this. Is it part of the assigns? Is it part of the user? Current user? It's part of the private collection. So it is a dot private guardian. Yeah, so that's what is gonna give us the default JWT, right? And we'll just use this access way of getting this so that it doesn't crash if it is nil, right? So now with that knowledge, we just save it in a JavaScript variable, and hmm, yeah, we save it in a JavaScript variable. We can access it in our socket like that, right? So this is all good. Now we should be getting a request to um, with a topic called room:1 and with the proper guardian token, and we actually need to go to the user socket and make this. So what have we named our channel? If you look at our channels, bsocket.js, we've named it room colon, right? So that or we can name it rooms colon room, yeah. So I'll name it rooms colon post ID, right? And that's good. And we need to create a room channel. So web channels room channel, and it needs to have the use blog.web channel, right? And what this guy needs is this guy needs to have a method called join, which takes a socket and which takes the token, right? So what we'll do is we'll just say this is the message, and what else do we get? We get socket, a message, and I'm not sure. Let's look at the documentation. So Phoenix channel dot join. So join is a method which, okay, so it gets the topic. So my bad. So this needs to be rooms colon a topic ID. So this is the post ID, right? So the post ID, and it gets a message and finally a socket. And so what we want to do here is just inspect the message to make sure that we are getting the right message and also the post ID. And for now we'll let everyone join. So I'll say okay socket, right? And if we reload this page, it says unexpected token. So let's look at the source code of this guy, and what have we got here? Okay, guardian token is empty. Well, that's not a good thing. So guardian token is empty. Well, this user is logged in, so it shouldn't really be empty. On the other hand, it should not be empty even if the user is not logged in, because that's gonna make the JavaScript crash. So let's see what's happening here. Private guardian default JWT seems like it doesn't work. So let's see. Plug.connection.private plug.connection and private. What is private? Private there's a shared library data as a dict. So this is a dictionary. So to access data out of a dictionary, how do we do that? So let's say let's look at the documentation for a dict. We can use the keyword module. Keyword dot get is what we are trying to do, right? So keyword get dictionary and the key and a default value. So well, let's use that. So I'll say keyword get the connection dot private is our dictionary, and the key is the Guardian default JWT. Is it that? Yeah, it's a symbol, so we can use a symbol there, and the default value is going to be an empty string. Okay, so that should make this right, and we'll just put a pair of double quotes here. Ideally we would just do poison.encode if you had a JSON encoding library, but this is fine for this case. So if we reload this, no function matching keyword get. So con.private. So let's actually inspect this guy. So inspect con.private. So con.private seems like a map to me, and it has the right keys. So a map should have should allow us to access using the square brackets. So Guardian, oh yeah, so the problem was, I think we used a string key, whereas it was saved as a symbol key. So we'll just use that, right? So we'll say that or an empty string, yes. And what's the problem now? Yes, that's the empty inspect. And if you look at this, we have window.guardian token is good. And now there's a problem. It says plug.connection not defined. Yeah. So now everything looks good. We've joined successfully. And if you look at our log, because that's what we are trying to do, so see if we are getting the parameters properly, we see we are getting the Guardian, the JWT, right, the JSON Web Token, and we're getting that. We need to use it to get our username and other information. So JWT encodes our values and signs them, and it uses the dot delimiters to separate them. So we can extract this information by using the base 64 encoding, and actually we have a dot there, so we need to remove that. So we're actually trying to decode it. So base decode 64, and then we close this. Okay, let's see. So let's scroll up and get the whole token, right? Let's get the whole token, and so this is the token. Come on. So we'll say token is 3. Yeah. So our token has a few issues. Anyway, let me quickly show you how to get this. So let's just get rid of the dots, and the token is this, and base.decode 64 token. What's the problem here? So let's do this once again, and that's the Guardian token. And actually we are embedding it even here, right? So if we take a look at this guy, so that's our token, right? And if we split this, we're gonna get three tokens: the header, the body, and the signature. And we'll split string dot split token and dot. And if we decode 64 the body or the header, all right, so the header looks good, the body doesn't look good. I'm not sure why that is, but anyway, you know, yeah, that shouldn't really be happening. So anyway, the point here is it should give us a token here. And if I'm gonna look at another example here, and all right, so there's some issue here. I'm not sure what's happening here. So let's refresh this page and look at the token once again. So let's see. We have the token, and if we split the token and get the body, right? String dot split token, right? So the body, if we use base decode 64 the body, it's an error. I'm not sure why that's an error, but the point here is this would give us something of this sort. This would give us a user ID. This would give us something called subject as user 3, because that's how we serialized it, and then we would be able to get back our user and then do the authentication. But we don't really have to do that, because Guardian already provides something called a Guardian channel module, which allows us to read the token and get the user. So channel, so Guardian. Alright, my autocomplete doesn't seem to be working. So let's look at channel and look at the documentation for that. So there is a Guardian Phoenix socket which we can use. Guardian Phoenix. Come on, Guardian Phoenix socket. So if you use this, what it does is it adds this join function, and it gives us access to then it allows us to create another join method similar to this, and it sends us all the required information. So let's take a look at that. So I'm going to say room post ID and this message, and we'll just log that information and see what we get. Okay, so all we've done is we've included this socket, and let's see what happens once we do that. So if we refresh this page and take a look at our logs, if we take a look at our logs, it says the parameters now are Guardian token we're still getting Guardian token, is it? So if you see, it's actually loading our user, so that's a good sign. And it's giving us parameters including Guardian token, and it's loading a user with ID 3, which is good. No, that's not what's happening. Um, so let's take a look at the Phoenix socket code, Guardian Phoenix socket code. So what it says is we need to add this use statement, and in the connection. Okay, so uh, we actually need to do this in the socket, and I think we didn't do it in the socket. So that's that's something we need to that's something we need to fix. So go to the user socket and add this guy here, and the name suggests it's a socket use. So once you do that, comment out this guy. Oh, sorry, uh, too many open buffers. Yeah. So now if we comment out this, um, let's see what we get. So I'm refreshing the page, and still the same, still the same information. So let's see. Let's look at the whole code here. So Guardian Phoenix socket provides functions for managing authentication with sockets. Okay, you need to use Guardian Phoenix socket and import Guardian Phoenix socket. Alright, there are two ways to do this. Okay, and in connect, uh, this function will be called when there was no authentication information. Okay, and this this then you should import it. Okay, so we don't need this. So connect is where this is happening. So if we go to the user socket and connect, we are getting the params and a socket, and what we actually should be doing here, let's see, let me try and understand what's going on here. The function will be called when there was no authentication information. So we need to pass something called Guardian token in the socket when we connect to the socket. So let's look at our JavaScript code. Socket.js, and see we are passing, we're not passing a Guardian token there. So that's our problem. That's our problem. So what's happening is we should actually provide the Guardian token when we open the socket, and that's when authentication happens, right? And when we do this, it's gonna go to the user socket, and it's gonna, since we are using the Phoenix socket, it's gonna get a handle of the connection, and it's gonna log our user in, and then it's gonna return OK socket. Um, so here to deny connection, just return error. So uh, Guardian says that if your code hits if your code hits this function, it means it's not authenticated. So we'll just return error, and finally in our room channel, we should have the proper information now. So let's refresh this. It says unable to join unmatched topic. So let's see. So what's happening here? Uh, this is the authentication in the browser, and this is this is still the browser, and this is our authentication in the channel, and it seems like it worked, right? And then it says ignoring unmatched topic room 1. So while undoing, we may have changed it to room, so we need to fix that. So let's refresh this, and it says joined successfully. Awesome. Yeah, this is turning out to be longer than I expected. So all right, now we know. Now we are actually authenticating users when they connect to our socket. When they try to connect to the user socket. So if I open this in an anonymous window, it should fail. It says unexpected response token 403. I mean, it's failing, but it shouldn't fail like that, I think. So it says select updated posts. So it should be at the end, right? So we are saying channel, we are asking channel to join an empty, window.post ID. And what's window.post ID of this guy? That's 1. So it says it's trying to connect to this. So let's see. Connect to deny connection, return error. And that's what we're doing. So I'm assuming this is okay, right? So finally, what we need to do is when we add a comment, we need to show it on the top. So I mean, we've already done authentication. Yeah, let's actually add comments. So finally, what we should do is I say let comment box is document dot get element by ID, and what's the ID of that guy? Comments, right? And our input is input. What we need to do is an input add key, add event listener of type key up, and what we should do is when someone triggers this event, we check the key code, and if this key code is not equal to the enter key code, we just return, right? Because we don't want to do anything. Well, yeah. So let's look at the HTML for the post, and what we want here is when someone clicks on the submit button, so we want the submit button submit button. When someone submit button, when someone clicks on it, we just add the comment, right? So what do? Is a channel dot push a message of type new comment, right? And the body should be the value of our input element, which is input dot value, right? And once we do this, we need to reset the input value to be empty, right? So that's us sending the comment event. And on the channel side, we need to handle the incoming comment. So go to room channel and say def handle in when the input message is new comment, and when we have a body with the comments body, and we have a socket. What we need to do here is use the repo and save the comment. Now we don't really have the comment class, so I'm quickly gonna create mix phoenix gen model comment table. It's gonna have the first thing it's gonna have is a post ID, which is an integer, and it's gonna have a body which is text, and it's also gonna have a user ID, which is also another integer. And we'll migrate this, and what we are going to do here is when we get a new comment, we're going to use our repository and insert comment whose body is this body, and whose user ID, and we also need a post ID. So I'm gonna get a post ID. So user ID is we can get it from socket assigns, somehow get it from socket assigns. So just gonna inspect socket assigns and send a test message, and socket assigns is so let's put few identifiers here. And it's not actually hitting this, is it? So did we refresh this page? Okay, so we'll say test, and so no function clause handle in for new comment and a body test. Yeah, so one thing we forgot is we're not sending the post ID. Actually, we can extract the post ID from the topic, right? So socket has the topic, so post ID is socket dot topic, is it? So it's rooms colon post ID. So I'm not sure how it's stored in the socket, but let's put it here. So when we refresh this, socket.topic looks good, right? So this is good. So that's our post ID, and we get rid of this, and post ID is our post ID. Finally, we need to actually socket assigns. Look into socket assigns. See what how we can get the cannot expand blog repo comment. Blog, yeah, this is blog.comment. And what does our socket have? It has a Guardian default claims, and it has a JWT. So I'm going to say socket assigns are actually, it should have our it should have what we need. I'm sure of it. Test, it should have our user object, user struct. So let's see, socket assigns. So it doesn't seem like it's here. Let's look at the documentation. Socket auth this socket. So current token, current resource. So this says we can get the current resource like that. So let's actually use that. Yeah. So get the current user like that, and use its ID. Yeah. So that should be all, right? So if I hit submit after adding a comment, if you look at the logs, there is still an error. It says value 1 for blog post comments, and so it doesn't match type integer. Yeah, obviously, because this ID is a string, we need to convert it into an integer. So integer dot integer dot parse. So integer dot parse takes a binary, gives us two things. So integer dot parse, so this is the actual post ID, and post ID. Yeah. So now this should work. Test, and if you look at the logs, let's see, test. So it's failing again. It says insert doesn't match type integer. So what's going on here? It says on line number, which line is that? Which line is that? Value 1. So maybe we need to restart the server. And we're still getting that error. Expected handle and to return one of these. Yeah. So now it's a different error. So this is gonna say okay socket, right? And actually no reply because this is an incoming message. And we say test and look at the logs. Come on. What's the error now? Okay. Test. Awesome. Finally we are inserting into comments, right? So now if you say blog.repo.all blog.comments, then it shows our comments, right? Awesome. So we are able to save comments. Uh, and if you look at the user ID, it's 3. So, which is good because we are also tagging it properly. So that's it for this episode. We ran into a lot of problems, but I think it was worth it. So that's it in this series of screencasts, guys. I'll see you in the next.